Welcome to Stew in the Nunn, radio show podcast, policy, politics. We're here to give you an honest opinion, different perspective, hopefully. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also asking the listener to interact with us in the show chat room via our Facebook. We would like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Station, Graybeard Publishing, and of course, we would also like to recognize our nonprofit charity. Great things for those who have Veterans Outdoors, PinUpsForVets.com, the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stewinthennunn.com. All right, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stew and the Nunn. You got Stew here. You got the Nunn. You can see him.
And the Nunn.
Sorry to you. You're to my... No, you're to my this side. You're over here. Look here. I'm looking.
Oh, we're backwards this week.
We're back. I switched this up. I did.
Oh, the U.S. is always right. Let's see what's up. Going with the uniformity, huh? Going with the uniformity.
I got to keep it fresh. But either way, there's no shortage of U.S. flags. You can see them on our shirts. You can see them behind me. You can see them above us. And these shirts, we're whipping some guns out here. Enlist 9 Fight Company. There we go. That's right. Right there. You can't miss it. Enlist 9 Fight Company, great sponsor of this show, Stew and the Nunn. We are glad you were here. We're glad they're part of this. And here on this February 13th, the night before Valentine's Day. So, yeah, we got that going on for us. So, Nunn, welcome to the show. Welcome joining me tonight. We're both on, which isn't always the case.
It's a rare occasion, and we celebrate it by having a Hallmark holiday the following day. Yes. And
there's a lot of people that question Valentine's Day. They like, do we need it? Like, unless you're 17 or 18, you don't really celebrate it. You know, all that kind of thing.
All I know is Hallmark's not the boss of me. You know, I don't need a paper company that, nice printed messages to tell me when I need to tell the people I love them. So I resist. Hallmark's not the boss of me.
Hashtag resist. I like that.
Yeah. Hashtag.
There we go.
The Hallmark resistance.
Hallmark resistance. We need to start trending that.
Make holidays great again.
We need to start trending that right now. I could see that coming up on our Twitter any second.
Yeah.
Hashtag Hallmark resist. That's right.
Hallmark's not the boss of me, man. This time of year, I try sticking it to them, by not falling into their commercial trap.
There you go. Yeah. And it's, of course, you're down in the southern studio in the wonderful state of Tejas. I am in the northern studio in the communistic state of New York. And up here, pretty heavy Catholicism, right? Catholics are pretty prominent up here in upstate New York. And there's a big controversy going, or thing in the news up here, because Catholics wanted like a break from tomorrow being Ash Wednesday also. So a holy day. Today's the start of Mardi Gras. Yep. Tomorrow's start Ash Wednesday. And they're like, it's Valentine's Day. The main bishop up here actually had to come out and be like, pretty much say, look, we only ask for a couple days out of the year out of you. Like, that's it. You're not going to get a reprieve. Pretty much what he said, some Catholic rule. I don't know. I'm not Catholic, but pretty much you're not getting a reprieve or a break because it's Valentine's Day, just like you're not getting one on Easter because it's April Fool, right? So it's been kind of a big thing up here. But as our good friend Dave Bellavie, I was listening to him earlier on his show on WBEN, and the way he put it was, it's amazing anyone even has to question that. You go from, do I want to worship and honor the Lord and Savior who's going to give me everlasting life, or do I worry about making Linda mad? Like, it shouldn't even be a.
Yeah, like Linda's the struggle's real. The struggle's real.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to take her off, or Mary or Margaret or whatever it is. But yeah, so it's but I'm thinking
definitely not a Margaret.
Yeah, but I'm saying then, like, I'm like, as a Christian, I just, like, it shouldn't even be a thought or question. Like, it's not like I don't care what day Easter's on, right? It's like, that's Easter, right?
Yeah, there's certain things that you should be able to manage yourself, and if you're unable to manage that yourself, you should probably question your ability as a human being to, like, exist. And that's one of those things, like, if you can't manage how and when you worship in a country that allows you to do that openly and freely, like, you might be doing it wrong.
Right.
I remember being in combat, and guys finding their way to, a chaplain where there was no chapel, to, participate in Ash Wednesday. Uh, if guys in, like the front lines of Mosul can figure that out, then you can figure out how on your lunch break to get where you need to be or do what you need to do. Although I will say, on a funny note, here, there's a big thing. You're not supposed to get Easter as a holiday with the schools because it's religious. Kind of like Christmas, but not. However, my daughter's not in school right now because it's Mardi Gras, and
and in that state, that's a holiday.
Don't mess with Mardi Gras.
That's right.
Like, so,
yeah,
it's all good.
No,
but
hey, I'm with you, yeah. I never thought about the Christmas Easter thing, but we always have Easter off, but it's always tied to our spring break, so they kind of get around it that way. Wrap it up with spring break. I never thought about that.
Our spring breaks here are different. They I think it's because they try and tie it around when other people are coming here. They don't want our people off. I don't know how it really works, but
yeah. I scored at your spring break in Texas. When a couple years ago I was in Dallas, and I got bumped on 3 flights because the gate agent told me they kept asking for volunteers. I made almost $2,000 off of Delta because he was like, "Oh, dude, it's spring break. Like, everyone's flying out." He's like, "If you want to get free tickets, come to Dallas this time of year." I'm like, that's a good thing to know. Like, just hang out at the airport. And I picked up three, like, a whole bunch of money. I bumped off 3. I kept taking bumps. I was like, they just kept throwing cash at me.
The DFW has a great USO. We know some people that used to work there.
Yeah.
Mark Seavy's wife, Caro, her and her posse, Jamie, and some other folks used to work there and do great stuff there.
Her crew, yeah.
And of course, like the Hug Lady, back in the day, was based out of there, and that, I think, is one of the greatest contributions to humanity that we had coming out of the War on Terror, and that's actually the reason why we're having tonight's show, is because of people like that. But we have a really cool guy coming on, someone that I've looked up to, that's been a mentor to me in a couple of different ways. Coming on tonight. I'm not sure if he's ready to come on or not.
No, I'm gonna just interrupt. I'm gonna let you. If you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about him and about what we're doing tonight, and while you're doing that, so the people watching know, I'm gonna black you out. So, because I've got to make a call to him, and so they'll hear you, but they won't see you. If you could do that while I handle and bring Matt in, that would be awesome.
All right. Well, black it out. So, for those of you tuning in tonight live here on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Twitch, and the Tuba View, as well as the Periscope, welcome to tonight's show. Today is February 13th, as Troy was saying earlier, and tonight we are having a slightly different show than we normally have, and we want to talk about and honor some people that deserve acknowledgement. They deserve the respect of many, because they gave respect to many. One gentleman in particular that we're going to be talking about tonight is to his friends and family known as Concrete Bob, and he is no longer with us. He has passed away. So we will be Matthew Burden, and Matthew Currier Burden is the author, conglomerate manager of the famous book by Simon & Schuster, The Blog of War. He is also the owner, proprietor, and main contributor to the most popular and probably singularly the most influential aggregate website in the mill blogging community called black5.net, where great people like Jim Hansen, also AKA Uncle Jimbo, got their start. Guys like Froggy, Matt Height, a lot of these guys have been guests on the show, and gals have been guests on the show. He's also probably singularly responsible for bringing a lot of us together and creating a community, or facilitating the opportunity for a community to come together and become the deepest of friends. I would not know my man Troy if it was not for this gentleman that we're bringing on tonight. And I would not have had the opportunity to be in some of the coolest locations, experiencing some of the great things. He is an amazing man. He's a former non-commissioned officer turned commissioned officer. He did both as special forces, as well as getting, I believe, commissioned with an armor branching. He is like we said earlier, he's a published author, as well as just a super influential guy. He's held the neatest of jobs, but one of the things that endeared me to him is the ability for him to get on a plane, fly to the hospital. When I say the hospital, I'm referring to Walter Reed early on in the war, walk the hallways and do what needed to be done to provide comfort and aid to guys. As a result, he became a board member of a charity called Soldiers Angels, a couple other charities, actually. He was also with Team Rubicon for a period of time, and some other charities. But all around good guy, great American, one of the most humblest guys I know, and the guy that introduced me to a good gimlet, a solid martini, and
yeah, but he drinks that nasty water of the devil called gin. He doesn't drink good stuff.
So. Well, it's because he's not a heathen. He's not a heathen.
There we go.
And
we have him.
Let's get him on.
Yep, there we go.
Let's get him on.
Welcome, Matt. Welcome to Stu and the Nunn. I don't think we've had you on this show yet since we've had it. Can you hear us?
Yeah, no, yeah, everything's good. I think I've successfully avoided you two for quite a while.
Yeah, we have. We cornered you.
Super awkward.
Well, yes. Thanks for the introduction. I mean, it's like you do that, and nobody's going to know I got more C's in college than a Spanish couple reaching simultaneous orgasm.
And he's quite the comedian too, and got Toby right when he was taking a drink.
Yeah. Well played, my brother. Well played.
And Matt, if I could add one more accolade to your history, can I make a mention of the recent awesome piece of machinery you just became in possession of? Because there's not too many people that can herald such an accomplishment.
Yeah, me and Jesse are we're coming home from the range right now. I took her around. I put about 130 rounds through her today.
Yeah. So Matt is now the proud owner and father of an M249 SAW squad automatic weapon civilian version machine gun from FN that he won. He even had to pay the thousands of dollars for. So
now,
yeah,
are you allowed to have that in Illinois?
I'm not sure, but I was thinking about mounting it on my Jeep.
Yes.
No, yeah, you're allowed to have it in Illinois. You're not supposed to have it in the city of Chicago, but I mean those are the courts are still looking into that. Now this was at Maxon. It's a MAXON Shooters and Supply. It's the best range in Illinois. The folks there are awesome. I did my concealed carry there. Actually was there with my son, shooting one Sunday after church, and they had a raffle. I bought one ticket, and next thing you know, I have an $8,000 FN. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it in terms of how I'm going to get around. I mean, you should have seen me walk out of the range with this thing. I mean, it was like I was, it was Corporal Burton back in the day. Just go into the car, and I think I'm going to have to carry it around in like my golf club bag or something.
Did you put a sling on it, like old school E4 with a sling?
No, I haven't. I haven't done that. Oh, I did that all the time, man. Yeah, no, I haven't done that yet. So I just got it. So I did the paperwork on Sunday, and then was able to go through the short waiting period and come in and get it. So, yeah, it's obscene, man. It's absolutely obscene. And as I think I mentioned to you earlier, I really was going to talk. The owner's great, and actually the owner's a friend of John Lilia from This Ain't Hell, by the way. And I was going to try to talk him into giving me, store credit or something else, get something more reasonable. And then I just sat there and I thought, I will never ever drop $8,000 on a weapon. So I was like, I'm going to keep it. So there you go.
I think you made the absolute best choice for any self-respecting infantryman or special forces guy ever. You had the opportunity, you had a decision gate to pass through, and you said, you know what, I'm going to do the appropriate thing here. And
right. I actually thought about making sure I thought it was the most immature and futile thing I could think of doing, which would be totally infantry, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I think you need to take it down to Fort Worth, see Taco and Chuck G and
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I might have to drive. I can't. Can you imagine me trying to check that at American Airlines?
Well, if the ammo's not with it and it's got 2 locks, you can.
You could put it in a big old golf bag. Well, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna flip out. But yeah, no, it's that's a consideration for sure. Because I mean, really, the only thing this thing's good for is hog hunting or taking it to the range
or scaring the shit out of suitors for your daughter.
Like someone wants to meet Pink 5, you're like, have you seen my?
Well, they're not allowed to date her until they can clean and field strip the thing.
Within time standard. Within time standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is it? Was it 40 seconds for EIB?
Yeah, I don't even remember. It was a 60 back then for me. But I haven't shot one of these things. I don't think in 13, 15 years. So yeah, it was fun. And then of course all my friends are sending me video of guys with 249s that screw up and the thing, goes crazy on them or whatever. Goes full auto. I'm like, sure. But no, it's all good.
Good deal. Good deal. Well,
it's just badass. Cool.
It is. That was it was an awesome time. When I saw you put that up the other day, that was a joke. I thought, what's he talking? Like, what's the shtick on this? And I realized, holy crap, he really won a saw. Like, that's not something you see all the time.
I was at my son's swim awards. He was actually up on stage. I get a phone call from the range, and I'm like, oh shit, something must be wrong. So I pick up the phone, and I'm in the back of the room because I was late because I went to the wrong thing. It's a long story, but it's Sarah from the range. She goes, Matt, this is Sarah from Maxon. Do you know why I'm calling you? And I just sat there, and I remember today was the drawing, and I said, holy effing shit out loud, and just sat back down. And these are all parents, and none of them can ever know that I have a 249. There's no way.
Did they look at you concerned? No way they can ever find out. Did they look at you concerned, like maybe you got bad news, then they saw this big shit-eating grin on your face and realized, oh, what's going on with this guy? Why did he just cuss like that?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But like people will just they would wig. They'd wig if they thought I had a pistol. So
and that's the thing. It doesn't matter that you have a saw, because to them you have the Red Ryder BB gun from the Christmas Story. It's as dangerous. Right. Shoot your eye out. It doesn't matter what it actually is. Like you said, it could be a pistol. It could be a BB gun. They're going to react the exact same way. So just block it out, brother.
But that one can shoot a lot of eyes out, like really fast, right behind each other.
Yeah, but mainly,
pretty much. I've
bad people. It only shoots bad people.
I've got to sit down and link link some ammo.
Oh
but,
yeah, now you gotta link your own ammo. That's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got a drum. I've got a drum, and I've got a clip. So I used the clip today because it was just easy.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey Matt, we really enjoy you coming on and giving us some of your Tuesday night, especially when you're coming hot off the range with the smell of freedom on your hands, I'm sure. And it's but we're taking this night. It's been a couple months since a gentleman, a scholar, patriot we all knew and have all had the pleasure and joy of getting to know has left us to the great jump master in the sky. And it just kind of felt it's been a couple months. Things have calmed down. You put up a great post on black5.net in tribute to Bob, and we appreciate coming on. We just thought tonight was the night to just kind of memorize him, and my part of our Toby and mine's thinking was we are lucky, man. The small group of us that ran in that middle blog circle in the 2000s. We're lucky enough and fortunate enough to know him and and see what he could do firsthand. And I thought, man, what a better way than kind of spread the word, because I kind of wrote today on the blog. He was not a guy for, as we all know, not a guy for the spotlight, not a guy to put himself out in front. He was always a behind the scenes kind of unsung hero, and even though he wouldn't want this, like if he was wouldn't want to come on a show and be highlighted. In my opinion, personally, it's the best tribute we could do, and in memory of him is to just help spread the word and let others know what other kind of the kind of people, the kind of person he was, and the kind of people that are out there really.
Yeah, I mean, so I heard part of the intro when I think it was probably Toby was talking about Walter Reed and me walking around and trying to find out how to help the wounded. Well, my introduction to that was Bob. So you can go way back. I mean, I've known Bob 15 years, but the first time we actually met, so it's total. The blog world at that point, Bob was a Free Republic type of guy, and they had there were protesters. So you have Walter Reed. I'm sure most of your audience knows this, but so on Friday nights, the bus from the wounded would come in from Germany, from Landstuhl, land, and then take a bus to Walter Reed, and come in through the front gate probably around 9:30. And this is basically an army bus, school bus type, full of, with beds and things in it, with wounded troops. And so Code Pink, which is probably the nastiest group of freaking hags on the planet, got a permit to protest on Friday nights, and they put up signs that you got maimed for a lie. They put up coffins. I think one of the signs that was the one that made me the most angry was, you're going to die here. All these kind of things. And so a few folks got the corner across the street. Bob Miller, so Concrete Bob, got the permit. And so they did counter protest every Friday night. And that's where I met Major Payne. I met a bunch of folks that would come out. Taco's mom and dad, I met out there, Mary, and I don't remember his dad's name. I just call him Sir because I was always afraid of him. But the thing we did, in those protests was basically try to show the troops some love. So when the bus would come in, a big guy like Major Payne would take a flag, or I'd take a flag out, and we'd stand over there and block these folks so the wounded troops couldn't see them. And then, the whole time they're yelling at us, spitting. It was bad. And so Bob was the organizer of that. And the beauty of Bob is he was quietly mischievous, right, at times, and then there were times the full concrete Bob came out,
Yeah.
So he would go full on concrete. That was a lot of fun, but almost all the time I enjoyed watching him operate behind the scenes. And one of the things he did was he found out when that permit expired, and the day that it expired, at 9:00 in the morning when the permit office opened up, Bob was there to get that permit, and so that they couldn't use that corner anymore, and they moved him down the street. And so what we would do afterwards is we would go in to Malone House and talk to the families, see what was needed, things that we've done, in more recent years. But Bob was the first one that sort of started that and got me. He was my introduction into the people so I could make things happen. And So the thing about the one thing about Bob that used to bug the shit out of me was he would always ask permission if he could join us. He would always ask for permission to come to the party we had at the Penthouse Club in Vegas. I was going back through email. I was going back through emails, and he just would always ask me. Instead of I kept saying, Bob, dude, this is your show. Let's do it. And he would just always defer and be humble about all of the stuff that he would do. And he fed everybody all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would tell him I'm coming into the DC, whether it was for my regular job or for this or for something else. One time Jimbo and I were trying to spin up a company, and Bob would, if he couldn't make it to meet us, he would send his barbecue sauce to our hotel.
The best.
I mean, just crazy stuff like that. Yeah. Awesome barbecue sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best ever. So, I mean, he was just that kind of guy. And just, man, wicked sense of humor. I mean, the practical jokes they played mostly on Jimbo.
Yeah. Well, he's a prime target which, by the way, Jimbo is listening in and he's watching the show. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So feel free to.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Bob just sort of weaved in and out of our lives like that, and in a really honest and genuine way. And so when he passed away, it took me a little while to sort of think about, what he meant to me, and what he did for the troops, and I just really didn't want it to go, sort of unknown. This man did so much, and in the spite of a lot of things, man. Up against big organizations, and he would just laugh it off and take them on. And so big hole to be filled there. Big hole to be filled.
Yeah, I can't remember a time I ever met him or saw him or was around him. He didn't have a smile on his face. I mean, I'm sure there were times, especially when Code Pink was around. Actually, I saw some of those pictures. But like I said, I think even then he had a smile on his face. But, I mean, I just never really heard him say a cross word about anybody. Or just any of that drama. I mean, the guy was just spilled selflessness. I mean, that's how I kind of described him today. I mean, he was always, like you said, he was always asking you all the time. And I wonder, Matt, do you think it was because, I mean, he wasn't really part of that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he ever really blogged, right, or wrote a lot and that kind of stuff. Do you think he felt because he wasn't part of that community, or?
Well, he started out. So it's a good question. So he started out as one of the Free Republic guys on the boards, right? So he would post. And then he did start a blog, but it was probably like, I want to say 2005 or 6. And it was because I was talking him into it. I was like, come on. And it was funny because Bob, if I wouldn't put up anything, and it was like the Jimbo show all day, all week kind of thing, which is fine. But Bob would ask me if I'm okay and why am I not writing? And so I would email him and go, well, how about you, MFer? You're not. Why aren't you writing? And so we would have these back and forth about those things. And, he would ask to, publicize things. And he did Cooking with the Troops. And then, you could see all the good times that, he had with Jimbo and Susan and all the folks in D.C. So he did do a little bit of writing, but it was sporadic, and it was mostly, a lot of times it was focused on the political side of sort of his area in his county.
Yeah, he was a special guy. Like, I remember my first trip to DC. I met a lot of people, but he was one of the very first people I met and he stood out. One of the things that he stood out is because everyone called him Concrete Bob, and I was like, there's got to be like a really cool story to how you get the name Concrete. And sometimes you don't see the forest for the trees, and I think that's a great testimony to who he was and how he carried himself. Like, he was Concrete Bob because he did concrete, and
right.
Like, nothing nefarious, no like sinister, nothing humorous. He was just, and that's what he was. He was a guy that worked hard, and he worked hard. He loved hard, and he just, like concrete, was uncompromising on his values. And like Troy was saying earlier, he always had this huge smile on his face, and no matter what you were facing, or whatever you thought you were facing, he greeted you with a smile. And we spoke earlier before he came on, Matt, about different places, and we were talking about some airports briefly. One of the airports we were talking about was the Dallas Fort Worth airport. And like the great folks of the USO team that were there, as well as the hug lady. And like, people like don't realize the impact that that lady with her simple little hug made. And Concrete Bob's on the same level. And like, people, that's why I just loved what you did earlier, after he passed away, is because people don't realize how special this guy was, and that he was on that level, and how many people he touched. And I can't imagine anybody, no matter what your circumstance in life, ending up at that place, be it Walter Reed, Bethesda there, and coming across him and not like feeling a little bit better, not feeling welcome, not feeling appreciated, not feeling respected. And the him and Blake, they started the cooking for the troops, kind of later on, right? But how many meals did they cook for people before they started doing it as like a function? And to me, there's no more intimate gift, or no more intimate thing that you can do with somebody than cook a meal and break bread with them. I mean, it's the essence of survival, right? Food, sustenance. And for you to break bread and give of yourself and of your food what you require to survive, that, to me, there's no greater gift. There's nothing more intimate or more sacred that you could give to somebody than that. And he did that day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, humbly, quietly, without accolade, without applause, because it was in his heart. And these are the people that America needs to know. I remember on Black 5, he used to do people you should know, and I thought it was so fitting. I thought it was so fitting how you did this.
Yeah, there's one story I don't think I shared that. I think it was 2006, 2007. So the Blog of War got published, and I had included a Marine who died on his way to report in for third tour of duty, but he had written when he'd been in Iraq before, and so I published his stuff because one of his last wishes was to be published. So, and it was good writing. I mean, it was an easy decision, right? And so Bob heard from the family. They sent the guy's sister's name's Eric Freeman. They sent his sister to the protest. I didn't know this because I probably wouldn't have gone, but sends his sister to the counter protest. She shows up 9:00 Friday. Walter Reed hugs me, gives me a card, tells me that it was her brother that died and her family's eternally grateful and everything else. And then gets in a cab and goes back to the airport and flies home to California. Bob set all that up. I mean, so I have a briefcase. That card is still in my briefcase. And it never would have happened. It never would have happened without Bob. Yeah, I'll post a picture of it later. It's Eric waving hello on the front of the card. It's one of those things I just, keep with me always. But, Eric was a Marine, and Bob liked taking care of Marines. And so that was one of the things that Bob facilitated that nobody except for the Freemans and myself knew.
Yeah, wow. As a former Marine too, but like I say, he took care of everybody, and I think that's another thing that a lot of people didn't, maybe I won't say not give him credit for, but didn't realize about it. He was a connector. He connected people. It seemed like that dude was like, he knew a lot of folks. He was very connected in that DC circle. And just really all over. That seemed, he was like the ultimate networker. If you need to know someone or need to link up with someone, Concrete Bob usually had that person.
Yeah.
It was almost like the the Kevin Bacon thing. Like, he was connected within 2 steps to like almost everyone in the sphere. And it could be a general, it could be someone like a Gina Elise doing something. It could be a a family member that was in the news because they lost a loved one in combat. He was pretty well connected. And
well, that's sort of, I mean, that's why he fell in with us so well. I mean, we're we're a big group of people who can't just stand around and do nothing, and he had a lot of ways of sort of pushing from the sides. And yeah, like I said, when I was looking for some info, like to publish for like his obituary, and going through emails, and I didn't want to pull anything too private, but I was looking for stuff. I mean, just hundreds and hundreds of times that he was trying to match a need up with somebody that could help, whether it was some soldier at Malone House or at Walter Reed in need of something, or if it was, a friend. He would just do whatever it took. I mean, I can't imagine anybody willing to give more to a stranger than Bob Miller.
Yeah, and he and like we mentioned earlier, he never wanted accolades for it. He never looked for anything. And he seemed to be appreciative anytime he got to hang around anybody, whether it was some doof like us writing, or it was a soldier of some service, or a family member. Like you talked about the barbecue sauce. I mean, that's what his culinary skills, without a doubt. I mean, he was known for a lot of things. His culinary skills were, a big part of him. And, people take their gifts and talents and whatever they have to try to help and give. I mean, that's a selfless service that makes America great, truly does. And he did. I mean, he took that, and whether it was cooking with the troops or well before that, I mean, I remember seeing the pictures in the video where they would just have all those guys that are, rehabilitating, going through stuff, their family members, and Bob would be leading an army in a kitchen and just slinging stuff and just on the grill and just, going to town, and like you said, quietly just, clean it all up and just fade off into the background. And
yeah, I mean, he even, when Walter Reed was under construction, part of Malone House was under construction, he cooked food for the construction workers.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. He did a barbecue picnic for the construction workers that were working at Malone. That were I think it was Malone that they were basically doing a big addition or another building next to it.
Yeah, he touched a lot of lives. Probably many that have kind of forgotten or whatever. I'm sure they appreciate it at the time, but I'm sure if people look back or knew, they would be like, I remember that guy. He did that. And then you even talked about on the blog post you wrote about the homeless guys that he would.
Oh yeah.
He said nobody's going to starve around him. It wasn't
like when they were done,
it wasn't like he was made of money.
Everybody had food.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was made of money. That stuff cost.
That's right. Yeah. And like I said, he would give anybody, and I said especially strangers, anything. You totally would. You just don't find a heart like that anymore. I don't know. I can't off the top of my head even compare to anybody I know. So it's a big hole.
What a great testimony that is, though, to know that, here's a guy knowing that these construction workers are going to do something that he cares about, that, he would take time and effort to provide that food, that sustenance for them, knowing that in the end, they're going to appreciate, they're going to take pride in their work because, the nation cares about the outcome of their work. Where a lot of other construction sites, it doesn't matter, what your political leanings are. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. You see, go to any construction site anywhere in America, and you don't see the care and the love and skill the craft that you normally see. But I guarantee his taking that time to do that imposed and impressed upon those construction crews to do their job well, to take pride in what they were doing, respect what they were doing, because in the end it was for a good cause, and that good cause being taking care of our deserving that were wounded. And it's amazing. It's the ripple effect, right? Like that little act, it doesn't seem like much, but I guarantee that little act had far more impact, not just on the families of the men that were working on that project, but the families of the men that stayed in that facility and then ripple it away, right? Ripple it away from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you, if you're just now tuning in, we are talking to Matt Burden. He is the owner of Black5.net, and as I call him, the Grand Poobah Mill Blogging. I just came up with that one as I was writing that earlier. But talking to Matt, and we are all kind of remembering and talking about Concrete Bob Miller, who left us on November 28th after a valiant fight with cancer. For those tuning in late, just kind of give you guys a heads up. Matt, let me ask you: are there any? You've talked about a few stories tonight, but are there any? I don't know. Funny anecdotes or kind of any other unknown stories that you think probably weren't well known, but would be anything that someone would want to know, or just a funny Bob story that kind of stands out?
Well, they're all related to Jimbo. So
yes,
I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna. If he's listening, he can text. He can chat in and tell you the story. But essentially, Bob set him up to get in a little bit of trouble one time, and it was pretty hysterical. So, but yeah. I don't feel that I should share that particular story.
That would maybe cause it. It may stop him from the next time of getting on Fox, because he seems to be on there more than Brett Baer.
Yeah.
Apparently he's listening. He's in a meeting. He said at 8:40 at night. He's in a meeting, but he's tuning in, listening. So,
okay,
we'll see if he is. But
well. Yeah, and then he's on quite a bit. It's awesome to see him on. My daughter is always like, "Uncle Jimbo's on," and I go, "Again?"
I'm the same way.
Daily.
Yeah.
Isn't he supposed to be working?
Yeah, when O'Reilly was on, when O'Reilly was still on, I mean, especially in the San Bernardino thing, man, he was on every other day, and I remember the first few times, and I was always proud of him. I mean, the guy's done it. Jimbo's great, and I Jimbo, I got to record it, I got to do this, and then I'd get up in the morning, make some coffee, turn it on, and there's this big mug on my 70-inch TV. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't need that, right? That woke me up. And they're like, oh, Jimbo's on at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's great. Poor guy.
Yeah. Yeah, me and the kids we basically have an over-under on the one-liners. And
well, they were a lot better when he was on RT, because he could get away with it on RT.
He could get away with a lot of shit on RT. But it's kind of funny. I don't know. I'm just waiting for him. I don't know. I got asked to talk with. I used to be on Neil Cavuto's show occasionally, and I got asked to be on it again, and we were going to talk about the memo from an intelligence standpoint and all this other stuff. And I told the producer, I said something like, so essentially the Democrats just rape the Fourth Amendment while Russia, and then I didn't get on the show because I said that. So.
Well,
they're not cool with that.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I don't know, probably a few months ago, I guess it was probably late last summer. I turned on, and one day I saw Jimbo, I saw Dave Bellavia, and Sean Parnell all on Fox within probably an hour and a half of 2 hours of each other. I'm like, is everyone I know getting a spot on Fox but me? I'm like, my lord, like everyone's getting a gig there.
Well, they kind of had a bit of a shedding of personnel now. Yeah, I mean, Pete Hegseth's on all the time on the weekends and stuff.
He's got
and then you got to catch Mary Catherine Ham over at CNN.
Oh, she's been killing it lately.
Yeah, her and SE
Hammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
SE Cup Hammer. Also. Yeah, SE Cup's
always,
a good one to watch.
I always want to ask her if she misses Juan Williams. She used to debate him on O'Reilly, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right. I forgot she's one of.
Because I don't think she does, but.
Oh yeah. I think everyone debates Juan Williams though, because what's his name? The other little dude that cussed all the time on the 5, they booted him. That Juan replaced there. Bob Becker. That's it. Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Well, he had a bunch of health issues too.
Yeah.
Back and forth. So.
He had some F-bomb issues too every once in a while on air. He had those too.
Yeah.
But
he used to have a drinking problem, and then it turned into a health issue, I think. But not that I remember, but I think it was something like that. But he was quite the drinker, and well known around DC, like at the Palm. I'm pretty sure every time I go over there, I'd see him in there somewhere. So
not that anyone in the mill blog community ever had a drinking. No one had a problem. Everybody did it quite well.
I don't know of anyone that has a problem.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to do anything half-assed, right? You got to whole-ass it. So yeah. Um, you know,
There we go.
I've cut back quite a bit.
Yeah. Jimbo's quit altogether,
No.
actually. Jimbo doesn't at all. So.
Yeah, no, right. And looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, let me ask you, Toby. Any stories that stand out from all the stuff you're doing with Soldiers Angels and everything like that? That Bob had ever any stories that may have seemed small at the time?
There's a couple. One, I absolutely just want to echo what Matt was saying earlier, and the sensation of welcoming. Like every time I was there, the guy went out of his way to make sure that if there was anything that needed to be taken care of or anything that he could do to assist, it was done. And he did it in such a way that a lot of times people like they want to help, they want to do things, but they get in the way, they make it difficult, and you in the end you feel like you're kind of pandering, you're kind of appeasing. um he It was never that way with him, and I would feel a tremendous sensation of guilt if I couldn't find a way to hang out with him. And whatever it might have been, and like Matt was saying, sometimes like he could do something, he couldn't, but no matter what, it was like, hey man, hey, I got some sauce, or I got this, like, hey, can you find it a good home, or he was just always that guy. But not too long ago, probably about 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, I was in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I was hanging out with mutual friends of all of ours, the Johns, and I was, I had just eaten dinner, with Ricky and Angela and the kids, and we were talking about a myriad of things, and uh, Ricky asked if like I had any status on Bob, and what I had, what wasn't, I got from Sherry and some of the other crew, and so I relayed what I could, and he told this wonderful story about the last time he saw him, and this was only about a year ago, and he mentioned how, like, despite his condition and despite everything, he still traveled to meet up with everybody and still went out of his way to prepare food for everybody, and the conditions and circumstances for them to prepare this food and make it all happen were not pristine, and it might have been slightly guerrilla. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how fitting it was, because like if ever there was a guy that could get something done guerrilla style or on the down low, as Matt was saying earlier, mischievously, it was Bob. And for me, like, to know that one of his final things that he was able to do to that community at large, if you will, on that last Millbog reunion. I know that Rich Lowe's tuned in. I see him in the chat there, and he could probably testify to this better. But it just, I think that's awesome. But to know the impact of people, and he didn't just touch a handful of people. He touched a lot of people over a broad spectrum of socioeconomic backgrounds, a broad spectrum of military backgrounds, a broad spectrum of just humanitarian backgrounds. And for you to do that, you have to be doing something special. And he was that guy, and I always felt like that. I felt like that about a lot of people, and I to stand out in that community. I mean, when you got people like Marianne Phillips, who I think God placed on this earth specifically for what she does. When you put, you look at our community with share the Sherrys, and all of those people, and to stand out like Bob did, I mean, you have to be an exceptional human being. And I gotta be honest, like, I'm absolutely unworthy to be in that community. Some people would say, well, you should be humbled that you should be in that community. Well, I'm not. I don't deserve to be in it. To to be around people like Marianne Phillips, Concrete Bob, like the Hug Lady. I mean, like these are exceptional human beings that, without a doubt, God placed here to benefit humanity, and to remind us that we need to be better people, that we need to be better fathers. We need to be better brothers. We need to be, better leaders in our community. And so that I'm getting all anyway.
So I'll tell one story. I'll probably get some of it wrong, but if Jimbo can't defend himself, well, then oh well. So this is a long time ago, and I don't know if it was outside of Mackey's Pub or something like that, but Jimbo had met a young lady, and was engaging her in pleasant conversation, and outside, and inside, I know it was Susan and maybe Bob's daughter and Bob, and I don't know who else was there, but Bob decides to send his daughter out in the middle of this Jimbo exchanging pleasantries with this young lady. And so Bob's daughter goes outside and says, "Daddy, Mom wants to know when you're going to come home." And just crushed it.
Crushed any chance he had.
Any chance. Killed it, nailed it, whatever. And I am pretty sure I'm butchering that part of the story of what was actually said, but it was really good. But yeah, I mean, Bob would do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
And mischievous, huge heart, it's just, thanks guys for taking the time to honor him today. That was really nice of you.
Yeah, we just it had to be done. We just felt it was the right thing to do from within our community, and we got some stories in too from others. I got one here from Rich who'd sent it in. He sent in a couple, but the one when you talk about his sense of humor, he kind of reiterates the always smiling and everything. But he talked about, we had the one Millblog conference right after he had his quintuple bypass surgery, and
right,
and Rich went up to see him after the conference, and he went to say hello and catch up, and when he came up to see him, he said, looked right at him and said, "Hey, how have you been?" Rich said as soon as the words left his mouth, he realized what he had said and began to apologize. Bob just laughed and said, "Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?" Right, and yeah, I mean that was him. He took it on took it right there and just kept running with it. And Rich was nice enough to and able to go to the memorial service for Bob, and said that there's a small group of the old Millblog crew there and all that kind of stuff, and they got to meet the family, and yeah, it was good. So he kind of helped represent hopefully the greater community of us. The awesome thing to do. Yeah, so lots and lots of great stories of just him cooking and doing stuff, and like you said, and even Rich said in his thing, no one ever went hungry around Bob. Just Toby, you hit it right on the head, man. Breaking bread, it's one of the most personal things you can do, whether you invite someone in your home or whatever. I mean, if you look at the most, of all the stories about Jesus in the Bible, right, the one that is carried on more and more, and that many faiths represent monthly or on multiple times with communion, is the breaking of the bread, right, with his disciples. So it kind of hits it right on the head. Bob did that with it. But Matt, do you have anything else that you want to kind of hit? I don't want to keep you anymore. I know we've had you on for almost an hour. Anything else? Any other story or you'd like to share that we didn't talk about?
No, I just I think, like I said, I'll put up a picture of the card I got from the Marines family because of Bob. But yeah, it just, there's just a lot of good stories about such a good man. I think I called him a big damn hero. And it just goes without saying, he touched so many people in a lot of ways that just are profound and hard to describe. And one story I would tell you that I don't know if I've posted. I don't think I did. But one time we were at Walter Reed, and one of the families needed some money to go to the airport to pick up like a grandma coming in or something like that. And Bob's like, "Okay, get in my truck," and literally drove them, like just dropped everything, drove them to the airport, picked up their grandmother, brought them back to Malone House. And we had like plans at night and everything. He just went and didn't talk to me. He just said, "Yeah, I'm going to go do this." I'm like, "Okay," and that was just him.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll never be able to count the number of families and people he's touched. That'll be a number only God knows, because these are the stories we know about. How many others happen outside of our purview, that we'll never know about. But, yeah. Like we got a comment in the chat room. He's barbecuing for Jesus. That's what I think it was. God wanted some good sauce. He said it was time to come home and get on the grill. So, we'll keep it at that, I guess. Matt, again, thank you so much, brother, for joining us. And you got a lot of work in front of you. You got to clean that saw tonight. So,
I got to be careful because I'm getting on a plane in the morning. So.
You're totally randomly being selected for explosive.
Oh my God! I'm gonna get
test.
They're gonna pull out that. They're gonna pull out that little wand. They're gonna pull out that little wand with that little piece of fabric in it, and you're just gonna be like, "Let me just start taking my clothes off now."
Right. You gotta pay extra for that.
Matt, don't worry. Like, speaking from experience, or maybe I heard it from a friend. If you do fail that test, you don't get strip searched. You just get subjected to further testing. Because I've failed that test. I failed that test. Both my hands, my bags. In fact, funny story. Going to link up with you one time, I had some golf clubs with me, and I forgot that some of my golf clubs I'd taken, and perhaps in a Connex, and they'd been somewhere and they'd been involved in some things, and my golf bag. We were going to link up with you, and I think it was you, Rich Lowe. We were linking up at the Super Bowl with Franco Harris, and my golf clubs, my golf clubs set it off, and that created quite a kerfluffle. And I spent about 4 extra hours in an airport trying to explain why there was explosive residue on golf clubs.
With your green card.
With my green card.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, Matt, it's been a long time since you and I and Toby were together. I think it was in Vegas, but it's been way too long. We got to get together again sometime.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, you have a good night, brother.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yep.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yep, you too, man. Everybody, that was Mr. Matt Burden. Again, the grand poobah of mill blogging there. So, all right. Let's see. Now my whole thing is. I don't want to hang up on you, Toby.
But while you work on that, I just want to take a few seconds to address the audience and just remind them that, we're honoring Concrete Bob tonight because of the impact he made on so many. And like I was saying earlier, there's a group of human beings, there's a group of Americans that are cut from the same cloth as Bob. Be it the hug lady at DFW, be it the greeters at Bangor, Maine, be it some of the ladies at USOs and men at USOs around the nation. But guys like Matt Burden that was just on, guys like Bob, and that walked around the halls of places that were the home of pain and suffering, were the home of just some of the hardest of times for men, deserving men and women. And people, they don't see that. They see they write their letter to the NFL, or they post their Facebook comment about an ad not being run in a Super Bowl. These people, they didn't write letters. These people didn't post comments. These people didn't share articles. They got up, or they stayed up after working on concrete all day long, slinging it, hard physical labor, went and cooked meals for people, and then when it was time for them to go home, didn't because someone's grandmother needed to be picked up. And that's what makes America great. That's spirit. That's patriotism. That's love for fellow man. That's the shining city on the hill. And that's what makes America what America is. And while he's a special guy and absolutely an anomaly, uh, we're honoring him because like he deserves it. And you deserve to know and be reminded that in your community is this guy. In your community is this person. And don't discount somebody because they work concrete all day, because that person will give you more than you could ever imagine. And Bob gave me more than I realized. And I my greatest regret is that I didn't take the time to make sure that he understood the impact that he had on me, had on my friends, and had on my brothers and sisters. And I know it's not much, you know, to have a guy's picture up that y'all can see, that we can see on our screens. Uh, he deserves more, and I know this isn't much, but I'm glad Matt's doing what he's doing, and I'm glad Matt was able to come on and help us do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it does give you pause. You know, there are so many that we have all gotten to know, and that we've walked with and done things with, and you know, there's only so much time in the day. You also have your family of this and that, and sadly, man, why did it just it's frustrating to me because it takes times like this. You go, God, you know, why didn't I wish I would have had more time? I wish I would have been able to talk to him more, that kind of stuff, and it's frustrating to me because it's like if you can only know, but at the same time, we also know that we're fragile, and we can, whether we're battling cancer or you have an aneurysm and you fall over right now, you don't, you can't predict it. You don't know when your time is. So every moment is precious, and and you just try to make the most of it, not being angry, not being hate filled, but doing stuff for others. Because like you said, that's what makes America great. That's what just makes society great. Is And as you just said, Toby, don't discount somebody because they work with concrete. Don't discount somebody because maybe they don't dress the nicest, or because of they don't have the nicest car or whatever. And there's Bobs out there everywhere. The question is, have you taken the time? Do you know them? And have you taken the time to meet them? And if you're listening to our words right now, whether live or you're listening later, um, you know, oh wow, I just looked
Yeah,
over.
no, I just saw that. The
Hi, Lauren. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Okay. That just you just caused me to just had a blue screen there, kind of paused. But what I was saying is, if you're listening to our voice, think about the people you know in your life, people you've had some interaction with, a lot of interaction with, that when you're listening to us talk about Bob and the things he's done, the selfless service. That's one of the things this show is built on. When Toby and I restarted this show, selfless service is one of the main tenets of what we talk about. Um, think about that person and just like what have they done? Um, you know, what kind of things have they? What stories do they have in their life? And have they been appreciated? And just get to know them more. There's a lady living on my street that is the sweetest old lady in the world. She retired 30 something years, 30, 40 years as a music teacher, as is the teacher, and has taught most of the biggest musicians in the area, whether in the school systems or have went off and become major music stars. She knows them. Quiet little lady living in her house, but has done so much for people. And every time a Boy Scout or Cub Scout comes by, she buys whatever they have. She does the smallest things like that. um, or the person that just you see that wow, they're out, that old guy who doesn't come out much, they're mowing their lawn and they're not asking for anything of it, or they're in my neighborhood, they're blowing the snow out of there, shoveling a driveway. Toby's are mowing the grass. I mean, those kind of things that you just see, that someone that actually pauses, and I guess what's sad is when people do selfless acts today, it is such a rarity that it's a news story when really it should be the norm, right? That shouldn't be the
yeah,
exception. It should be
yeah.
what
I
everyone
mean,
does.
people think that you know paying it forward is a Starbucks line and a latte. And while that's great, um, that's not. It's like you said. I was doing Jessica, my wife and I are part of a team with Candace Bryant, and for the Gallant Fuse Run Ranger Run right now. And we were out doing a team walk, a hike, ruck march, if you will, whatever, on Saturday.
Did you have
And
an AR with you?
no,
Oh, okay,
no, because I'm
sorry.
anyway. I see what you did there, but no. And one of the ladies that's on our team, Chris, she's awesome, and she was mentioning how as kids they used to do rake and runs, and my wife and I were laughing because we were like, was that like Nicky Nicky Nine Doors? And she was like, no, you would like get up early and you know people that needed help in their yards and stuff like that, and you would go rake their leaves and get out of there before they realized it had been done. And like those are the little things, it's more than just a latte. It's what Bob did all the time. And having his daughter join us tonight, I hope that she can go back and watch this and know that it's not just on Facebook. They can get it on Spreaker, and hopefully your mom's like letting them know that that can be done, because your mom's like talking it up in the chat room with her. But hey, these are the shows that we get to do that we're honored to do, because guys like Bob, guys like Lauren, almost guys like and gals like every guest we've ever had. I can't remember how long it's been since we had a guest where I was like, this person doesn't deserve a conversation. And that's why we're honored to have it. That's why I'm humbled to be part of this. But I got to get going, and we got a great show next week. We got congressional candidate out of Texas, William Negley, former CIA operative with lots of Afghanistan experience, a great native Texan that's doing some things here in Texas and hoping to change some things here in Texas. That's a tremendous troop supporter, created a great nonprofit and called Sound Off, and we're going to learn about that, helping guys get psychiatric and psychological help without it being on their record, as well as his run for Congress. But it was great. I've been looking forward to the show, but I've also been dreading it because I know, like, what Bob means to all of us, and I just kind of miss the dude. And so good times. Thanks, Troy. Great show, and I look forward to next week.
That's right. Absolutely. Everyone, you guys have a great night. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you share this with your friends and your family. Again, as Toby said, we're Spreaker, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and of course Facebook Live. Find them all there. Again, share it. Let people know that what are they going to spend an hour and a few minutes to hear some great stories about somebody, and maybe inspire them. My God, that would be the best testament to Bob's legacy, besides the number of lives he's affected by rippling through so many people. But maybe people hearing his story and hearing this will motivate them to do something of the same selfless nature. So that's all we can hope and pray for. Want to thank everybody. Want to thank Matt for coming on. Want to thank all of our fans and watching and listening. Thank you, Toby, from Toby and myself. God bless. Have a good night. We'll see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. here on Stu and the Nunn. And I'm going to try to get this going. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nunn Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenunn.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good night.